Hi.
Hi. Where are you? Tell us what state you're in.
I am in Florida.
Oh,
I am in Central Florida, born and raised.
okay, so you're in Florida. I'm in Long Beach, California. So we are communicating from across the
Yes,
country.
that's crazy. This is so
Super
cool.
fun. So I know both of us have a lot of anticipation leading up to this connection.
Yeah,
First of all, we've never connected one on one
yeah,
via like camera like this. So
yeah.
so good to meet you. I'm just so grateful and honored and excited to just be in
I
your
know.
presence.
Ditto,
Um, ugh,
ditto.
yeah, I've been following. I got on TikTok last summer, and I've been following you since I got on TikTok, pretty much. And so
Yeah,
it's just been such a pleasure to see your journey as I'm on my own journey, and
yeah.
just such a support for the collective. And so you're in. Okay, we'll get into your Starseed stuff in a minute, but I would
Okay.
love to know, um, just like two parts to this question. So first of all, my name is Ray. We are here today to interview Shaina here, Lady of the Path, about her journey, what she's been learning, what she's been through, how she got through what she's been through. And also here to just talk in general about star seeds and New Earth and all of these new spiritual concepts and what it all means and how we can make the most of all of this. Yeah, I would love to get started with asking you a two-part question.
Okay.
I want to know, and I think we all want to know, who are you? Who are you? Why are you here on Earth at this time? But you can start with more like who you are, 3D you, and then
Sounds
move
good.
deeper if you want.
Sounds good. Well, my name is Shaina. If you have not seen me before, my name is Shaina. I have been on this spiritual journey for probably about 5 years now, only getting on TikTok maybe the last year and a half. I previously read cards and kind of blossomed my spiritual journey on Facebook. But the whole beginning of my journey was simply learning things that I didn't know were going to be relevant later on in my life. I took, in college, I was a massage therapist, so I went to college to be a massage therapist, and there I learned about the Chinese medicine system and traditional Chinese medicine techniques and acupressure and massage and the way that the body worked. And I ended up getting pregnant and not being able to use my newly found skill until about maybe 10, maybe 15 years later was I able to finally, once I woke up. One thing that not a lot of people know is that the soul that is in this body now was not the soul that was originally in this body. I
Wow.
am actually a walk-in. Yes. So I have
Wow, how incredible. I've never
no.
met a walk-in. When did that happen?
Um, so because of who we are and what we are healing in this lifetime, it just became too much for the soul that was originally in this body. And instead of wasting the body, because she was ready to go home, and
Mm.
go home. And instead of wasting the body and what we could actually use it for, and to be able to use it for good, we did what's called a swap. We swapped the souls out. It took maybe about 3 to 4 years for the swap to happen. Or maybe probably a little bit longer than that, actually, where we would experience extreme physical symptoms of passing out uncontrollably, or like just all sorts of crazy, crazy, crazy things. And it could never be medically explained on what was going on. The doctors had no clue why I was paralyzed and couldn't feel my legs, or why I just was walking into the kitchen and boom, it was like I hit a wall and passed out. And the reason why is because we were trying to get the souls to switch, but because the original soul that was in this body had essentially cut herself off from source.
Mm.
So she got here and it was so traumatic and it was so heavy and it was so much that she couldn't take it anymore, and felt abandoned by source, essentially. And that's when we were able to do the switch, once we got her to a point to where she could trust and fully let go of the body. And she is now reintegrated back into source. And now we are here and we go by the name of Shaina, but there are many entities that are using this one physical vessel.
Wow, that is like the most beautiful answer I've heard when I've asked that question. Wow. Wow. I wow, that's incredible. So, have you just a quick side note, have you like bumped into a lot of other walk-in souls like cuz you share that energy?
I have met a few walk-in souls, not too many, but I have met a few walk-ins. A lot of people kind of confuse the spiritual awakening with a walk-in, but as far as being a walk-in, like I have no memories, no access to any memories from my childhood. I barely remember anything from 5 years ago and beyond that.
Wow.
And a lot of people confuse that portion of walk-in versus spiritual awakening, you know.
Wow, yeah, that's a great topic to bring up. Like the whole topic of walk-ins in general. I didn't know that you had that experience, so I didn't include that in any of my questions. But I feel like that's really relevant to what a lot of people go through when they are going through awakening. And like you just said, it's probably easy to miss that that could be
Yeah,
a walk-in rather than just an awakening, right? Man.
yeah,
Mm. And I've heard from what I know of walk-ins, everything you're saying is pretty much all that I know. I don't know more than what you've said as far as it happens a little gradually, and then you don't really have memories from before a certain time. Some people remember abduction experiences, I think, like around that time or like right before, or right after.
yeah.
Um, yeah, which we're gonna get into ET stuff too. Um,
I'm excited. I got stories for you.
so why what clarity do you have on your soul who is you now, in the body now? What clarity do you have on why you came to earth at this time? Like specifically, what did you come here to do, change, or offer?
So I actually have a couple different missions. One mission, just in regards to who my soul is essentially, um, is the divine feminine, is the divine mother. That's who my soul is. And in this lifetime, I am living the lifetime, the timeline of Gaia to help heal in her spiritual ascension. So that's why the physical symptoms are so much. That's why this illnesses are so much, is because I'm healing on a vast planet scale.
Got it.
Um, but one of the things that I'm here to do is to one be the example of this is how you can do it, of this is what she's been through, of the ultimate darkest of the dark, and this is where she's gotten to, and just to be the physical example of what is possible and what can be done, and also to just be happy. Number two, just to find my joy, to exuberate that joyful energy, because that's when we are able to move way more energy than we would be able to previously.
Right.
And third is to provide, um, all I have been shown is that it is a new form of counseling, a new form of healing. I am not necessarily known to all the details yet, but it's kind of just incorporating everything that I've picked up and learned, and just providing that kind of one-stop shop service to humanity, to show them what they are capable of, and that they can reach that level, that they are that amazing. You
Right.
are that special. That's just to be the reminder.
Right. Wow. So, as far as the starseed like lineages that you're connected with specifically, that you kind of bring their wisdom here,
Mhm.
which ones are you specifically connected with?
The ones that I have been made known of are the Lyrans, the Pleiadians, the Venusians, the reptilians,
Mm,
the um, Andromedans, and the vegans. But as far I know that, as far as how long my soul has been around, is I'm sure there's many, many, many more. I mean, there's so many beings that I've seen that I don't necessarily know where they're from or have ever even seen them before or seen anything in comparison to them anywhere. So that's just all that I know up until this point.
Okay. Okay, I love that. We share very similar
Right?
soul experiences.
Right? I knew it. Knew it.
And you've also probably had many lives here on Earth as well in preparation
Oh yeah.
for being here now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so beautiful. Wow, such a similar story. I love it. Um, it's crazy that we have never talked one on one until now. Like,
I know. I felt it immediately. Like it's really weird because, of everything that I feel and everything that I see and hear, that when I see someone for the first time, I immediately know that we've been doing this for a long,
yeah,
long time. But when we're in our human forms, it's kind of weird for me to reach out and go, "Oh, hey, it's nice to see you again. I know you don't know me and I know this is weird, but we're like BFFs
yeah.
everywhere else in the universe." So I just kind of hang back and just let the universe do its work. But honestly, it was instantaneous.
Yeah, for sure. It's just
Yeah.
so, and speaking of soul walk-ins, so with my experience, I'll just briefly, I feel like my soul chose the route of slow and steady, like every few years, a little bit more of my higher self would come in, but like chunks at a time. So every few years I'd have major transformations. I was constantly changing my hair from blonde to black to short to long to now it's like short, while I'm growing it out again.
Yeah.
Because I'm bored. I'm bored of,
Yeah.
it's like I need something new. But so yeah, like I relate to the story of being a walk-in because every few years it's like I forget more and more and more about who I was before the
Right.
age of like. See, that's the thing. Like, it's like I used to be so much like really. It's the more I let go of and integrate the shadow, it's almost like the old version of me stops existing. Only a few
Yeah.
years back, a couple of
Essentially.
years ago, I was a completely
Yep.
different person. So yeah, it feels. I relate to the feelings of the walk-in sensation. So okay, so now we know more about like who you are and like why you're here. You're doing new healing techniques, which is why you channel so
Yes.
much. Um,
Yes.
so I'm curious to know more about like channeling. I'm like, do I actually have? I'm not going by the questions in order. I'm just kind of going
You're good.
here. But with channeling, so when and how did you really become aware that you could do that, or that you know what I mean? And like what kind of started that, and then what was the journey like to get to where you are now with channeling?
Oh, I'm so excited to answer this question. Okay. So, about, like I said, 5 years ago is when this portion of our soul has come into this body now. I was in a really stressful event at the moment, and I started to swell violently. Like as we previously discussed, this physical vessel is healing and transmuting a lot of energy. So medical mysteries happen like freaking Rice Krispie treats. It's crazy. Um, but I was having a really hard day this day, and I started to swell, and it was literally like the Blueberry Girl in Willy Wonka. You
Oh my
could
god.
see the swelling happening. And within 10 minutes, I was getting to the point where I was having a hard time breathing. My
Oh,
arms were huge, my chest was huge. So we ended up going to the hospital. By the time I got to the hospital, I started to uncontrollably pass out. So I would be trying to communicate with the doctors, and I would be talking just like this. And then all of a sudden, poof, I would go out. And then about 30 seconds to a minute later, I would, and then try to finish what I was saying because I never lost consciousness. I was still awake and aware, but lost complete control of the body. And this is when the
wow.
final switch was happening. Yeah.
Mm.
So as I'm in the hospital and we're doing this for like 2 hours or so, the doctors didn't know what to do. They had no clue what was going on. They didn't know how to help me. And they ended up giving me a beautiful mixture of ketamine and morphine and Ativan and pushed me out of my body. So as soon as they pushed that medication, I was up on the ceiling. I was looking down at my husband and the doctor and everyone just kind of watching my lifeless body lay in front of me. And it was the greatest feeling I can possibly describe. There is
Wow.
no pain, there is no suffering, there is nothing but peace and joy. And when I was sucked back into the body, now integrated with this new walk in portion of my soul, and the other soul had exited, it was the heaviest, ickiest, just most uncomfortable energy in the world to be inside the body. And ever since that moment, it was just I just woke up and I started to do all these things. I mean, I always say that my husband has had to fall in love with about 9 different people thus far
Yeah.
because every time I get a new integration, he's having to learn a whole new side of this soul that he didn't know existed. And yeah, it's been quite a journey. But as far as the channeling goes, everything just sort of fell together. Like I just got it first started with making healing ointments and treating myself with natural medicines. Sorry, I'm trying to get my candle to keep going, with natural medications and things like that. And I had gotten a bunch of different herbs and started making healing ointments and different things. And before I knew it, I had people wanting to purchase those and saying how amazing that they were and how much they helped. And from there, I just started seeing people reading tarot cards and oracle cards, and I was like, you know what, I could do that. I've always been into the spiritual. I can learn how to do this, and then I started to do it, and it was just effortless. It just took off, to the point to where I was like, is this even really happening? Because the thoughts and the messages are mine. Like
Right.
it's all me. It doesn't come from like a separate source, or it's very hard to explain. It's very different from a lot of the ways that other people, channel and use their abilities. But with me, it's all me. So it took a long time to become confident in the fact that this is exactly what I was doing. And it was only up until maybe about 6 months ago to where I got to the point where I was fully confident that this is what I was doing. Um,
Wow.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
Similar timeline for me as well. Probably 6 months, nine
yeah,
months. Last summer, last summer, fallish is when I really
yeah, yep,
just took that power and was like, I'm going with this. Like
yep.
this is the flow. This is what feels exciting
Feels
and
right.
right.
Yeah,
And yeah,
yeah. And following our joy, man, that's where it's
yeah,
at. You want to grow your abilities. You want to work through trauma. You want to do all these things and be a part of this movement. You follow your joy. You follow what lights you up inside like no other. Um,
absolutely.
yeah,
And and exactly following like what comes naturally and what's easy, rather
yeah,
than like trying to do something that you're not very good at and taking all these years to study and like try to be good at it. And it's like, stop trying
hmm,
to be good at something and just do what you're good at.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And that's where the authenticity comes in, of everyone wants to be like everyone else, and they want to adapt that image for themselves. But if they could just, as it's 3:21 my time, if they could just pause and take a few steps back and just relax, that they will find that they are experts in their own field of whatever it is that their interest is in, if they could just give themselves a chance to
Ex-
see it.
Exactly, exactly. And that's actually kind of one of the benefits and the beauty of COVID because so many of us got to take time off work and we got to actually step out of the rat race for just like a short enough but long enough
Yeah,
time to be like, wait a second, let me rethink my life strategy
yeah,
because I don't know if
absolutely.
I'm down with this. Like how people realized how exhausted they were. People realized how much of like they felt like a slave to capitalism, really. And so it's like, it was such a blessing in disguise. It really was. Um,
Yeah, that
so
was the moment humanity woke up, or when it began anyway, on a mass scale.
it's funny. What is your memory of your first memory of really connecting with your higher self? That was one of my questions, and we answered that. Um, illnesses. Let's
Well, I
see.
actually have a story for you if you
Yes, tell
if you
us.
want to know.
I do.
So I was maybe home from the hospital about 2 weeks, and I immediately jumped into meditation and just really diving in. And at this point, it was very odd. I was able to get into a meditative state almost immediately. I could be in a room full of people, TV on, music on, and I would be able to shut all of that out and go straight into meditation. And I was sitting in the living room with the rest of my family around, and I immediately went into a deep state of meditation and I started to float up out of my body. And as I float up out of my body, I float up past the clouds, and I am greeted as I get past this layer of clouds by ancestors and beings that, I mean, as far as I could see, it was extremely overwhelming because the amount of beings went on for what seemed like forever. And my great great grandfather was standing right there. And he is my main spirit guide. And then when my grandfather passed over, he also kind of took the reins, so they split that. But he was there, and we hugged and reconciled and just really basked in each other's love. And after we hugged, I started to float up above him, and he wasn't floating up. So I was like, wait a minute, what's going on? What's going on? And he just, it's okay. Just relax. Just let go. So I did, and I ended up floating up into another area where there were 12 thrones. And in these 12 thrones were these beings sitting like cross, I think it's called lotus style.
Hmm.
And I couldn't see who they were or any differentiating marks. They were just, when people make those potions and it has that like real milky looking
Yes.
water stuff. Okay, that's what they looked like, but it was white. So I had an outline of a body sitting in lotus position with this beautiful white energy flowing throughout all of them. And I heard them say, Sana Sahaktet. And I said, what? Sana Sahaktet, which I, wasn't sure at the moment if that was a name or a saying or whatever it was. But what I had gotten was that these 12 members, the original 12 is what they call themselves. I was the 13th. And I haven't fully pieced together what that means. They only reveal to me so much at a
Hmm.
time. Um, so with after that meditation was over, and it was such a huge download. It was like my body just instantaneously started functioning different after that. It was a major shift.
Wow.
And it wasn't until maybe about 2 weeks later that I ended up talking to a friend of mine who was like a linguist. Like, she could look at any language and understand it. That was her, yeah, that was her spiritual
Wow.
ability, as she was able to, yeah, right, right. And when I told her what they had said to me of Sanasa Haktet, she goes, "Oh my gosh, do you know what that means?" And I was like, "No." She goes, "I think it was like ancient Hebrew or Sanskrit, or it's been so long I
Sounds
can't really remember." But she had said essentially it breaks down into meaning the royalty of light. And that was the first time that's the one thing that stands out to me as my first experience with being with my higher self as my higher self.
wow.
Yeah.
And when was this?
This was when it all first started about, well, maybe it's going on 6 years now,
Okay.
when I was just came out of the hospital from
Yes.
that last episode, and then boom, everything just started to tumble roll.
Wow. That is like, oh man, I have so many chills. Woo! That is so intense. Like,
Yeah, and there's a reason why I don't share a lot of this stuff, is because it's a lot to take in, and it's a lot to fathom with our human minds. It's only taken me up until about, like I said, 6 months ago, where I've actually gotten to a confident point of this is actually what's going on for me. For a long time, I was like, I'm just making it up. I'm just making it up, la 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 la, because it was so
yes.
much pressure.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
it takes time to integrate those kinds of truths into our being,
yeah,
into our way of going about our life and remembering that it's real and like letting our brain adjust to this new belief system of who we are. It's literally like who we were was erased once you found out who you really are. So it's literally like
Absolutely,
this
yes.
huge purging of letting go of these emotions that represent the dead you, that basically parts of your soul that need to move on that haven't moved on yet. You know,
Yep.
like so intense, so intense. Man, I relate to so I've been trying to figure out what council I'm a part of, and I know I'm a creator
Yeah.
being, like that type of energy
Yeah.
as well. Like I know I've been just like light and sound frequency. I know I've been a part of creating like galaxies and star systems and stuff.
Yeah.
So but to hear you describe it the way you did, I'm like, whoa, maybe I need to look into this. Like I need to go in within, because I feel like maybe somehow I'm connected to that or a similar type of council as that.
Yeah.
Because that just like really resonated, really
Yeah.
really resonated.
I knew it would. Like
So
I
beautiful.
don't have confirmation, but I know that we have been doing this together for eons since the
Yes.
beginning. And there's a handful of people that I have found on TikTok that I have felt this connection with. Some I've made it known to them, some I haven't.
Right.
But I know here recently Spirit has really made me realize that my soul family, my true soul family is coming to me, and that all I
Yes.
have to do is just recognize the feelings and the sensations and to trust. And I would completely agree with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Same here. Once I got on TikTok, it was like, oh wow, I'm gonna meet my soul. I'm gonna meet my people.
Yeah.
Finally.
Yeah.
Finally, I'm gonna
Yeah.
meet my people. Like
Yeah.
how fucking exciting. And I was never a social media person before TikTok. I'm sure you weren't really big into social media either.
Mm-mm.
Until it had a purpose, until it was like
Yeah.
the right time, the right thing to do. Everything is beneficial. Like I said in my text to you earlier, everything is beneficial. Like
Yeah.
it's just about how we use the resources, right?
Exactly. Yes.
So I want to ask, what is, in your opinion, what is the difference between intuition and our higher selves? And also, I want to talk about the difference between our imagination and our. Okay, so basically, I have a theory that the imagination is directly related to our soul experiences. So I just want to talk about that. But first, we'll talk about the first question that I asked, the difference between your higher self and your intuition. I'm very curious to see what you think about this.
Honestly, I honestly, for at least for my experience, it's one and the same. It's the same energy, it's the same entity, the same essence of what's happening. I mean, if you're truly tuning in to your higher self, we're all constantly asking to have our higher selves integrated into our vessels, to integrate our highest self, to integrate on that to the highest timeline of
Right.
peace, light, and love. And when we tap in and we trust ourselves, it is our higher self. Whether it's our higher self or highest self just depends on how
Yes.
far you're able to handle the frequencies. Our highest self is going to put the body through a lot more because they're a lot higher frequency energy. So when
Mhm.
we tap into a higher self, it is just easier for us to handle, in the beginning, and not so much physical on our body. I know when I had, first started all of this, the physical shifts that I had to go through were insane. The sensations and the feelings, and but now that I've been doing this for a little while, the shifts aren't so hard. They don't last as long. Um, but yeah, if that answers your question.
Yeah. Yeah. It does. It reminds me of, I did a video once about how we have multiple higher selves, kind of like you're referencing. It's like
Yeah.
levels of awareness, because what
Yeah.
is the higher self except the most aware version of
Yeah.
you?
Essentially. Yeah.
So you can tap into like a few levels up of awareness rather than the full awareness, like you said,
Yeah.
because that's like sometimes too much to like
Yeah.
to do it, depending. But I think that's what ascension is really, is integrating more and more and more to
Yep.
where we physically embody our highest selves all the time.
That's it.
That's
Yeah,
that's what
absolutely.
ascension is. And that's what
Yep.
Earth is going through in her own body.
Yes.
Ascension. We are mirroring what Earth is going, and Earth is mirroring. We're mirroring each other.
That's it.
Um, it's funny. I think of the people on the earth like the bacteria of the earth, and there's good bacteria, there's bad bacteria, but there has to be a balance of bacteria, or else
Yeah.
things go to shit.
It all crumbles. Yep.
So, also, dehydration. Think of the earth is literally dehydrated because we're improperly utilizing her water resources. So, and that's what happened in the past when we've had different great floods, right? Because the earth is like, okay, we got to do a water cleanse,
Yep.
and so floods have happened. But um, it's just interesting to think about like how it's all mirroring, and we're literally all like earth and us physical people are experiencing the same shift, the same transformations. We're
Yep.
like, hey, I'm not taking this abuse anymore. Like, I have boundaries. And that rage, that divine dark feminine, like
That
raising
sacred
us.
rage,
Yep,
baby.
sacred rage.
Yeah.
I love sacred rage.
I know.
Sacred rage.
It's 3:33 right now, my time. So
I
just
love it. It's 1, 2, 3, 4 right here. 1, 2, 3, 4.
okay.
Um,
That's awesome.
so it's just, yeah, that sacred rage and the sexuality and sensuality are so intertwined. I
Yeah.
think because the rage comes from the root, and then the sacral is just right above that. So it's all like it's very intertwined. And I think it's really beautiful and important that the women, whoever identifies as women, are owning their sexual power.
Yeah,
And
because that's where our power lies.
yep,
Yeah.
exactly. And I think it's just so, so beautiful that that's happening. And like women are just rising up. And, oh, it just makes me so happy. Um,
I know.
so let's talk a little bit about the pineal gland. So my brief description of my theory. Basically, this explains why people who are highly empathetic would be able to relate better to others because they've shared similar soul experiences. Like, I have this theory that you can only relate to someone to the degree of what you have experienced. So if you haven't experienced something as a soul, you're literally not going to be able to understand where they're coming from, and you're just
Yeah.
going to have it's going to feel like a block or a wall, but it's just a complete not knowing.
But
Um,
yeah, exactly.
which would explain why I personally, yeah, I don't want to go into that. Yeah. I'm like, okay, wait, thought. No, back to this way. So in your, what do you feel about that theory? What do you feel about imagination being like a holder for all of our soul experiences, and we cannot actually physically imagine anything beyond what we have actually experienced as a soul?
Um, that's a really good question. Like for myself and when I'm creating, like I'm not only like how I get through and how I create is by, even though my whole world may be blown up and shit, at the moment, I am still holding the frequency within of everything is okay.
Yeah.
Everything is okay. I have everything that I need to get through this in my mind. I'm envisioning seeing, my grandmother healthy and everyone helping out and me not sick anymore and all these beautiful things. But you're right, essentially, yeah, because if you think about it, there are higher selves and higher selves have already done it. So what we haven't personally had experience with, once you get to a point of being able to tap in to the universal consciousness, to your higher self, you are then able to access memories that you may not personally have made, but have been done already.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would agree. Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
it's all related to the limiting beliefs, right? Because the limiting beliefs
Hmm.
acts as blockages that
Yeah.
block us from accessing that information. So, I talked about this with one of my coaching clients this morning about this visual I have of the mind is outside of the brain, outside of the body, right? The mind is
Yeah.
up here and it has access to infinite intelligence, right?
Yeah.
And then the mind teaches the brain. The mind rewires the brain. The mind is the thing that teaches the brain what to do, that operates the.
Yeah.
Hi from
Yeah.
the UK, hello. The brain is the thing that operates the body, right? So just thinking about the layers of like the levels, the trickle down effect.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but like you said, more awareness of this as we remove the blockages, then we have the access to the information, and that's how we integrate it. So interesting to think about
Yeah.
these bigger concepts.
I know. I had never actually like put two and two together, or like I try not to ask questions or like dive in too much, just because then it just adds too much to my mumbo jumbled mind anyways. But yeah, no, I completely agree that like once you're able to take off that helmet, like it's essentially like when my crown finally let go and I was able to effortlessly connect to all of this different energy around me, it was literally like a helmet was lifted off my head. It was,
Yeah,
I didn't realize how tight it was.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, because essentially we are all everyone. And when you get to the point of being able to access any timeline from anywhere in any space, you're able to access an event and have the empathetic value to then help someone else out, which I guess is essentially what I'm doing and what you're doing.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh, that is so good.
bringing a sense of practicality to spirituality. That's
Yeah.
why I changed my TikTok to demystifying spirituality, because it's like, okay, it is magic, but magic is science. So let's get into the
Yeah.
science of spirituality. Like, what is the science of it? You know, like, what's the
Yeah.
formula? You know? Um,
Yeah.
and I was not
A
into
plus
science.
B, give it to me.
Yeah, and I was not into
Absolutely.
science or math as a kid. Those were really much harder subjects for
Yeah.
me to grasp. But as an adult now, I'm really into understanding like, wait, how do these things tell the same story, right?
Yeah.
Um so man, that's so cool. And the so interesting how cuz you know how they say, well, what's in happening in your imagination isn't real. And I'm like, well, we can't imagine something that's not real. You can't,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like if you
Yeah.
can imagine it, then it's real. And if you can connect with that information, it means that you resonate at the same level as that by information, which means you're directly connected to that information somehow through your soul
Yeah.
experience. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah, it
love
is
it.
a difficult argument to be able to finagle around because so many have such strong views and values, and it's hard for someone to kind of get off of their platform sometimes, but I completely agree with you. It's all been done, and whether it's imagination or, thought or gut instinct or whatever you want to add it to, it's already all been done. And when you get to that point of being able to access it all, it's all yours. All the information's there. So
Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly.
I'm gonna pause really quick and I'm
Okay.
going to go potty and I will be right back.
Okay. Okay. Got it.
Okay. Old bladders.
Does anyone have any questions like while that I can like get ready for her while she when she comes back? Anybody? Any questions? Dolores Cannon talks about how ideas are never truly created or destroyed like energy. Yes, and there's a verse in the Bible, I think in Solomon, or Solomon said it, that there's nothing new under the sun. And I remember reading that as a kid and my dad telling me like nothing's new, you know? What is her natal info? I know. I feel like Crystal, once you look at her chart, I feel like her and I are going to have like a very similar journey through the stars. I feel like we'll see, but it seems like it based on everything so far. Yeah, no, definitely. I'll see if she's open to getting. I don't think I've told her yet about what you do, Crystal. Getting into channeling, any suggestions? Hello, my friend, my new friend. Oh God, my new friend. Um, so channeling, okay, I actually talked about this with my coaching client this morning. So channeling is like listening to your intuition and then following that thought trail. Like there's a string attached to that thought. When you get a thought that comes into your intuition, you're like, oh, I feel like I should do this, or I feel like this would be a good idea. Hold on to that thought and then literally like grab it and pull the string, like, okay, what else is behind this thought? Who's telling me this thought? Where is this energy coming from? Have I felt this thought before? What's the history of this thought? Literally like pulling a string and like getting to the root of where that thought came from. That's literally what channeling is. Because you're tuning into it like a radio station, tuning into a frequency, and then you get really zoned in on that frequency and you focus all your energy on that frequency, and then it'll, like, you'll see the back story of that frequency, if that makes sense. It's hard to explain these kind of things, when you just do it intuitively. Okay, so
Yeah.
Crystal wants to know your natal chart info, like probably maybe off here if you're willing to give it to her. Birth date, all of your, time, just everything for your birth chart, time,
Yeah.
place, all of that.
Sounds
So
good.
Crystal is, she's Call Me Calexis here. You should follow her. She is, I found her here on TikTok, and she does these cosmic origin reports, and she and I actually went live together to go over my origin report when she did mine, and she was so intrigued. She's like, "Send me your info. I really want to do your chart," and I didn't even know.
And what's her name?
Call Me Calexis.
Can you make a comment really quick so that I can add you? Because I can't see it. I think I scrolled up pretty
Yeah,
far.
raise your hand, Cosmic Origin Report reader.
Oh,
Yeah, so there she is right there, Call Me Calexis. Yeah, so I she basically can give you, she looks at your fixed stars. She'll tell you more about it, but the basics is she looks at your fixed planets, stars.
yeah.
I don't know how to describe it like she does. Oh my god. I feel like really,
Yeah, because I'm not good at astrology
yeah,
either. I don't know
I'm
that.
such a
Yeah.
noob. Like I know enough
So
about
she
astrology.
Jennifer Vine 777.
Huh?
Oh, Caitlin. I can't see.
Oh.
Did she comment yet?
Yeah, she commented. Maybe it's because she's my follower and so you can't
Hmm.
see her. Let me make a comment. Can I make a comment?
Okay.
Yeah, I'll comment it so you can
Okay.
see it. Okay, at Call Me Calexis. Okay. Can you see my comment?
Mm, mm-mm. No. Spell it
Okay.
for me, and then I'll just add her when we get done.
Or I'll just message it to you after.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Let's just do that. It's
Yeah.
our fucking birthday.
Yeah. No, I revert to like taking notes with an actual pen all the time. And I'm like, wait,
Oh,
we have
yeah.
we have
We have
technology.
technology now? Yeah, I
Oh
know.
yeah.
Me too.
I think that's just like being born in like the late 80s or the 90s, like 80s or 90s.
Yeah.
Like it's easy to like dip back into old times and
Old habits die hard. I heard that.
yeah, so
Yeah.
she okay, so she's like she's summarizing it for me. I'm like, thank you. She finds your origins outside of Earth and the reason you're here, etc., etc. She can see kind of like your trail, your path among the stars, and see where you
Cool.
incarnated, and see where you
Whoa.
potentially had negative or positive experiences, or potentially
Yeah.
see like if you had family there or things like that. It's super super insightful, and the charts.
That is cool.
Yeah, it's like a long ass 50-page document. So
That is cool. That is a cool ability. I tell you what, because I don't know anything. All I know is just the little bits that they've shared with me, and that's it. Like, I don't really get like experiences or like past lifetimes or things like that because I adapt that energy so quickly that if I let myself get into a not so great state, it will overcome me quickly and it's super hard to pull myself back out. So they keep a lot of stuff from me so that I don't adapt myself to that energy and end up causing a match for myself that's not good.
Yeah, totally. So I know that you know a lot about your like starseed background, but have you ever had like like in sighting, or like do you have a memory of
Yeah.
like an abduction experience? Like I'd love to know your experience with ETs.
Okay. So, I have a couple. I was given, whether it was from this lifetime or not, I'm not sure, but I was a part of a soul contract with the Greys and them studying the human female reproductive system and babies and all that sort of stuff. So I do have a couple memories of abductions where it wasn't really an abduction, but it felt like an abduction because I wasn't aware at the time that I was a part of this project at the time. Um, but I was brought up. I don't remember being brought up into the ship. All I remember is opening my eyes and I had my arms and hands were like not like tied, but I was suspended in like this hoop thing, and the lights were really, really, really bright, and it was a really, really clean smell. But like there was no negative scenarios happening. It was just like my own sense of fear of never having an experience like this before, not knowing what to do in the presence of an extraterrestrial. And at that time I didn't really have the understanding and the knowledge that I do now, that it was a project. It was something that
Right.
my soul had been a part of, to come down here to earth to have this experience, to grow their sciences and their technologies. um, but I also have actually a video, and I'll scroll through my thing, my list of videos, and I'll send it to you. But maybe about 4 months ago, I was out walking the dogs, and I felt this immense sense of peace, and I was just walking my dogs, just emitting just grace and gratefulness and love and just energies that I hadn't felt in a long time at the time.
Mm.
And I walk the dogs around the apartment complex, and I'm walking back to the house, and I hear in my head, look up. So, because I'm just, talking to the flowers and touching the trees and, doing the kids in a China bowl shop,
Mhm.
type deal. And I look up, and in the sky, there were 7 UFOs all in a line. And when I saw them, they actually shifted position into what looked like the Little Dipper, or like the Big Dipper. And then it also, after it did that, it switched into like a trident shape.
Isn't the
Like that.
Orion in the Dipper?
I'm not sure, but that would make a lot of sense because I know that I don't know what the exact connection is, but I know Orion has been something that has been ingrained in my brain. I've always felt connected to
Crystal would
Orion.
know. Crystal,
Planets
where
like
is?
Mintaka and Sirius A, don't really know about Sirius. I'm sure Sirius B too, but it's hard to kind of tell the difference. But
Yeah,
Mintaka is like, when I say I want to go home, that's where I want to go. I
yeah,
want to go back to Mintaka.
yeah.
Yeah, that's where my soul feels its greatest, is in those lifetimes. It was beautiful.
Crystal just commented, I'm a certified galactic soup origin astrologist. It reminds me
I
of
love it.
soup for the soul,
Galactic soup.
a soup for the
I
soul,
love it.
like soup for the teenage
Yeah.
soul, soup for the whatever.
Oh God, if she wrote a book about that, oh my God, that would be amazing.
Oh my
That would be
God,
so funny.
Crystal, you've got to use that as your actual title. That is
Yeah.
hilarious. Galactic soup for the soul. Oh my God.
Galactic soup for the
Um,
soul. That is fucking funny.
so that is so cool that they kind of put on a show for you, and like that
Yeah.
probably just gave you such a like feeling of connection,
Yeah.
right?
Dude, that was the moment that I was like, okay, I'm not, because I, even up till, like I said, 4, 6 months ago, I was still doubting myself. I was still questioning my sanity, even though I had been doing this for years now. I still had not reached that point of this is how much I of a part that I play, and it was really hard for my human brain to accept. So when that happened and I got it on video, it was it solidified it for me because I had also
Yeah.
had another experience. I'll send you the video where my soul sister had come down from Connecticut and we were out here by the lake. And all of a sudden, we see the biggest, brightest light that we've ever seen, ever. And it just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And I was like, that's a UFO. I was like, it's a UFO. I don't care. Nobody's going to tell me any damn different. And in the video, and no one was smoking, no one was vaping at the time. We were the only ones out there in the middle of the lake. And you see in the video, as the light is going out, you see this smoke figure appear, right, walk past my shoulder into the view of the phone, and you see its legs like walking on the water, and then it just disappears.
What?
Yeah, I'll
Wow.
send it to you. It is insane. It's a lot to take in to like fully grasp that this is what we're doing, that
Yeah.
we are the in between them and us, to bring all of us together so that we can all coexist together, that we are that important, that all
Wow.
we have to do is ask, and when we're ready, we'll see. Like
Yeah.
I know I've been for a long time, when I was waking up and starting all of this, I was like, okay, fine, I'll do whatever you want me to. Just don't let me see. I don't want to see anything that's going to scare me or trigger something that is even worse than that. So that's something that I still am opening up. But, over the last 6 months, um, a lot has changed. A lot has changed.
Yeah. That's incredible. And I relate to that a lot the last 6 months.
Yeah.
So Crystal said she didn't hear what you said about Mintaka, but you were talking about wanting to go home. Like you feel like Mintaka is like home. And then someone
Yeah.
else said thoughts on Dracos, Draconians. You said you're connected to the reptilians. Um, so what are your thoughts on Draconians? Like, I know they have a really bad rap. People just think anyone from Draco is going to be this like dominating, controlling evil being. But what do you think?
Um, I mean, from what my team has explained to me, is that in every society that is a dualistic society, there are always going to be, if there's bad, there's going to be good. If there's good, there's going to be bad, because the balance of the universe has to be maintained. And even when we reach the new earth here, there's still going to be not great people, but it's going to be balanced enough to where we're all going to be able to hold space for one another, and it not be the extreme violence that we're in now. It's not going to be like the extreme dualities of what we have now, but balance still has to be maintained. And as far as like when I think of draconians, I think of like just that dragon energy. And I know that I am extremely connected with dragons. That was actually the first spirit animal that I was awakened to, and I'll tell you that story. That story was really cool.
Mm.
But um always taking everything that you hear out in the world with a grain of salt, because um sorry, my daughter just texted me.
Oh, okay.
um but yeah, so as far as like draconians and that sort of thing, both sides have to exist in order for everything to be maintained, and some are just worse than others. But following your gut and following your that gut instinct, that intuition is going to be able to give you the ability to set the two apart. Like you're not going to be able to be fooled when you learn to see with your spiritual eye instead of your
Right.
physical eye
Right.
you know
How is your what's your relationship with gender? Like, how do you feel about gender being such a big soul?
Yeah.
I know that it's commonly a little bit of a struggle to understand gender or really buy into gender roles. So tell us about your experience with gender.
So if you notice on my profile, I go by she, her, they, them. Um, and it will switch depending on the day, because some days I'll feel more masculine and I'll be in my husband's basketball shorts and in a big old t-shirt, and other days, I'll put a little lipstick on and want to be a little bit more feminine. And I think overall, I really just identify as them, and accept she and her, just because it makes it easier for people to identify with,
Yeah,
and it's not necessarily for me. You know what I'm saying? It's for whoever is there. And I mean, I would prefer, you know, they, them, just because there's so many pieces all existing at the same time, that, like,
totally.
to say one gender is, you're leaving out 20 other beings that are sitting in the back, that
Yeah,
are there just as much. Yeah,
yeah,
so as far as gender is, it's a human concept that really doesn't matter,
yeah,
you know?
yeah, totally.
Yeah,
Yeah, man. I love it. This is such a great conversation. You're so amazing.
I know. I'm having so much fun. My candle's going crazy. Spirit is totally loving
You're
this.
so amazing. Like the transformation. So okay, I know we talked a little bit about this already, but like I kind of want to talk a little more about your journey like to health, like to physical health, because you've
Yeah,
really been through some really big physical health stuff,
yeah,
complications. So I want to know more about like how do you maintain hope when you're experiencing really painful stuff.
yeah.
Ugh.
That is a perfect way to put it. How do I maintain hope? So, as I had told you earlier, and not a lot of people know the specifics, but I have, different autoimmune diseases. And as we know, when someone has an autoimmune disease, that is the body attacking itself. So, there are things that I'm healing that are extremely delicate, and a part of something very big. So, one of the autoimmune disease I have is known as the most painful condition known to man. And the reason
Wow.
why is because the nerves are taking everything going on, and in every kind of stimulation, sight, sound, touch, as a painful stimuli. So then that tells the brain that everything that's happening in the body is painful. So it took a long time. It took about maybe 3 years to get to the point to where I was actually able to begin to function without pain medication. Um, the other autoimmune disease is known as familial dysautonomia. And that one is where this is my abilities, this is my gift, but it's also my curse.
Mm,
My nerves have no protective covering on the outside of them. So when I feel something, I feel it on a level that most possibly couldn't understand, because there's no protection, there's no barrier, for my nerves to be encased in. So, like, if someone bumps me, my brain is going to alert, 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 your arm's broken, and that's what it feels like, because the other
wow.
autoimmune disease is going, oh, we're completely broken, we're completely broken. So it's
Wow.
taken a long time to get, like I said, it's been 5 years that I have been working diligently, day in and day out. Like, the way I have to live, to most people would be insane. Like, I sit in silence most of the day. I don't watch TV. I may scroll through TikTok, but just any sort of stimuli from any human whatsoever, I immediately adapt as my own, which is my part of my abilities, where I can help people, is because I will feel it within myself, and then I'll be able to identify what's going on by identifying it within my own body. Um, I just forgot what I was going for.
Sorry, I think it's because I'm distracted because I hear this noise outside my door and I really want to go see if
Oh,
there's
it's
someone
okay.
out there. I'm like,
Oh, you're good. I'll go get some water. You can go do that. Go
yeah,
get some
I just
water.
wanna.
Okay. Taking a pause.
Okay, we're good. I don't know what that noise was. It sounded like somebody was on my porch, which, yeah. But the thing is there's a lot of, I live right, there's an alley right behind my unit, like right there. And so there's like weird people sometimes that hop over the fence and like try to take stuff off your porch. And it's great. Literally, you cannot leave anything on your porch around here, or it will be taken. It doesn't matter if it's, it doesn't matter what
Oh,
it
that's
is.
here too. That's
So,
here too. I don't know if you heard the story that I had told. I don't know, maybe it was like a few weeks ago, where I was sitting out on the porch. And I find it so funny because spirit really does place us kind of like in really not great areas to be able to increase the vibration of said area. And once it's increased, then we move on and go and live somewhere else.
right.
But I had actually was sitting outside on my porch and this kid had rolled by on this bicycle and I had never seen him before. I thought maybe he may have just moved in. I don't know. But he goes all the way down to the end of the sidewalk hallway in between the two buildings and I hear a porch door open. And when he comes back, he's got a gas can and he stops his bike and he says, "Do you got a lighter?" And I said, "Nope, sorry, babe, I vape." And I handed up, my vape. I was like, "Sorry, I don't have a lighter." And he was like, "Oh, okay." Well, I find out a couple hours later that 10 minutes after that, he was actually standing at the mailboxes. And when someone came up to get their mail, put a gun to their back and said, "Give me all your money, give me your wallet, give me everything," and told him he was going to shoot him. Yeah. So you want to talk about divine protection? Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Crazy, right?
Crazy. Thankfully, I
Oh,
live in like a gated courtyard, so they would have to
yeah,
like hop a fence to get in, but still, a guy
yeah.
got shot in my alley right behind my bedroom window a few months ago. Like
Oh my
he
God.
got pulled up on by this silver car with tinted dark windows. They got out, two of them, and they're like, they said they yelled something at him, and then they both just started pop, 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 pop. He had like a his, and the crazy thing is he got shot in the thigh, and there was no blood. There was no blood. It was just his leg was like super swollen and like
Oh,
giant. Like it started swelling up.
God.
It was
Yeah.
it was scary, but there was no blood, which is so confusing, because in the movies, which is like crazy that I'm like
I
saying
usually
that.
gushes out.
Yeah, and I'm just like, wait, this is what a real life shooting is like? Like most people didn't even hear it or see it. They just ignored it because
Yeah,
the popping sounds sounded kind of like, fireworks or something. Crazy ass shit, dude.
yeah,
Fine protection. Yeah, it's interesting you talk about that, raising the vibration of the environment that you're in, right? That's because that is,
yeah.
a lot of us are grid workers. A lot of us starseeds are
Mhm.
grid workers. So we're sent to live in very specific places
Yep,
and heal the pattern there, the energetic patterns that are going on by
yeah.
healing yourself while you're there, and then you emit that frequency. So it's like,
Yep.
it's intense because you go to these places and you are affected, but the thing is that it's a gift, really, because
Mhm.
you can feel it, you can transmute it, and you can
Exactly.
exactly like recycle it. Man, the work that we are here to do, honestly,
Oh, it's huge.
it's
Yeah.
a
Like
lot.
when people are like going through their transformations and they're having these repetitive dark nights of the soul and these really like hardcore emotions that they're going through and like we put so much pressure on ourselves to, oh, I should know better, I should know better. But what we don't realize is that it's not just us. Like we are healing the land, we are
Yeah.
healing the spirits that are still tied to the land and
Hmm.
can't leave, and there's so much more that we're healing, not just ourselves, just in every day-to-day moment we're healing the world, literally.
I just was so crazy. I was talking about this with my coaching client this morning before this. She said that when she closes her eyes, sometimes she has these flashes of like the Civil War, basically, of like
Mm.
men on horses, like, and she lives in Oklahoma, I think, Nebraska. Anyway, I don't know. K's
One
and
of them
there's
plain states.
K's and A's and I'm a little dyslexic, so like I'll remember the letters and then I'll get them switched
Yeah.
around, and I'm like, wait, no, I know there's
Hmm.
an R and an A. Anyway, Arkansas.
But there's a U somewhere. Yep, I totally
um,
identify with that one.
but yeah, so when I was talking to her about the difference between being clairvoyant and clairvisual, because I know that's not a term I've ever seen online, but clairvoyance is more seeing into the future, whereas clairvisual is more just seeing the energy that is, the imprints that it still exist.
Yeah, I never thought about that.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Like it's a little bit of a different ability. It's not the same
yeah,
ability. It's a different
yeah, no.
ability.
Yeah, I completely agree because like now that you say that, um, like the way that I feel and the different levels that I'll feel. Like there's sometimes, you know, different like I've been down by the lake and walked up on like Native Americans around a bonfire, and then walked home, and then there will be another timestamp or another loop that's occurring somewhere else. It's a totally different, timeline and yeah, versus seeing into the future. I actually didn't know the difference. Like I said, I don't necessarily like look for this information. Like I don't read very much. I don't go on Google. Like all that I know is just through experience and through what I've been told. Like I don't really research a whole bunch unless it's
Yeah.
something that's really tugging at me to then add into my memory bank,
Yeah, totally. Totally. And that's kind
Yeah.
of why I wanted to share it with you because it's not something I learned about. It's something I channeled. It's something I
Yeah.
that came to me, I think, yesterday because I took a 6 week break from smoking cannabis and then I've just been smoking a little bit for the last couple of days, but like
Yeah.
smaller amounts to where
Mhm.
it's more of a medicinal experience. And that was one of the kind of aha moments, the visuals that I got, the just,
Yeah.
kind of a download that came through was like, oh, wait, there's multiple fractals of clairvoyance, basically, like
Yeah.
different
Yeah.
types of clairvoyance. Um, because this is all going down to me wanting to really bring practicality and like seeing the structure of magic, the structure of manifestation of all of this stuff. Like how can we like really break it down
Yeah.
into like understandable bits rather than like,
Yeah.
oh, it's just something that's too grand for us to understand. We're just little humans, we could never understand. It's like, no, we can understand it. It's just about
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we needed to get these, we needed to raise the energy of the collective feminine on this planet. Like it was just the divine feminine was lacking and needed that support. So a lot of us bigger, older souls with a lot more awareness
Yeah.
have been coming into female bodies specifically for that purpose.
Yeah.
Um, so thank you for sharing that lesson that you're learning with us. Um, I'm just so proud of you and honored to connect with you. Um, any other final remarks or questions or anything else you want to talk about before we finish up?
I just wanted to truly thank you from the center of my soul for just providing a space for
Yeah.
us to be seen. And honestly, I wouldn't have wanted to do it with anyone else. This was such a healing experience for me. I know that there's a lot going on within this body right now, and there's a lot of healing that's happening. And it was truly an honor to sit here with you. You have done so much for me with your different videos and your content that has helped pull me out of some of the
Mm,
darkest moments that I've had to face. And I'm just truly grateful beyond any form of words that could be gathered to describe
yeah.
how much I love you, how much I am grateful for you, how much I am grateful for everyone. I truly do love with my whole heart, and sometimes that may get us into predicaments, but it's just to make room for more people that are going to love on the same level. And I am just so grateful and so happy to have all of these beings that are seeing themselves in me. And it really makes it worth it for all the suffering that I've had to endure, is to show people how amazing they are. And
Mm,
it's just an honor to be here with you.
mm,
And I'm really glad you came here with me.
yeah. Wow. Wow. I feel your emotions so strongly. Oh, man. Mm, so beautiful. I love the gratitude. I love the gratitude, the appreciation.
Yeah,
Oh, it's so beautiful. And you know what? Whenever we come together, you, me, um, all of us that are here for this purpose, whenever we come together, we activate new stuff, within
yeah,
each other. We
yeah,
see the reflection and then we kind of fill in the gaps. So,
yeah,
um, don't be,
yeah,
I won't be surprised, and you shouldn't be surprised if after this amazing conversation, we walk away with new ideas and like new perspectives and like, we're going to get maybe even certain gifts will be more heightened, because
yeah,
we've held space for each other,
yeah, exactly.
and thank you so much for this. I know it's an interview, but I love the bouncing back and forth and like being able to relate and just because it's important. It's like I feel like I need you to know that like I have experienced similar things, and so I do understand. When you've experienced something as someone, you do understand what it feels like, and you really can hold that space and say, I do empathize, like I do understand. So it's I haven't experienced, I don't think, the physical pain that you have experienced, but I've experienced emotional wanting to unalive myself, for them all the teen years through the early 20s, So
Yeah,
this the fact that we've both entered into a time of feeling like we understand, feeling the feeling of understand,
yeah,
like,
of being rooted and centered in
yep,
that knowledge of unity. Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
and congratulations, we made it. I think we made it through the
We sure
hardest
did.
parts. Woo!
We sure
We
did.
made it through
Dang.
the biggest struggle parts of our existence on this planet,
Yeah,
because now we
yeah,
have the clear sight, and now that we understand, things are just going to be so much smoother for us. So we made it. Congrats.
yes, yes.
Yes. Another
And
light
I am
might
so
take in
proud
place.
of you.
Oh,
I'm so grateful, just full of gratitude that we are where we are, and that the worst is behind us now,
yeah.
and that we can move forward with joy and love in our
Yeah.
hearts and continue to heal all this shit.
Just
Yeah.
keep on going. I'll get back up again.
Yeah.
I'm gonna send you after this I'll send you Crystal's information so she can
Yeah.
do your origin report. Oh my god. You know, she told me today she's booked 6 months out. So I think she's gonna make an exception and like
Oh my gosh. Well, if she can still hear me, I am so down to trade with whatever I can
yeah.
offer.
I'm
I am
sure
so
I'm
down.
sure she would accept healing trade because
Yeah.
I know she personally has some stuff she's going through and her
Yeah.
partner physical healing stuff that they could probably use some energetic support with. So that's probably going to be
Oh, well, I totally got you, babe. Yeah, let
good.
me get hooked up, and
Yeah, I'll send
I
you her
can't thank
info.
you enough. This has been incredible.
Oh, so also send me your YouTube. Do you have a YouTube channel?
I don't.
Okay.
I probably need one,
I
but
think it's time. I think it's time. I think it's
I
time.
know.
Because the thing
I'm gonna
is
write that down.
think about your TikTok videos, how, you know, they're only 3 minutes. I'm sure there's readings you do that could potentially be 10 minutes long for the
Yeah.
collective. And you could just start recording them on your phone. So I'm like telling you what to do. Sorry. You can just like
Oh
start,
no,
you
yeah,
can just
I
like
don't know any of this.
record them on your phone camera and then upload them to TikTok and only do the 3 minute mark and say the rest of this reading is on my
Is
YouTube.
I
And I
love
just
that
got that
idea.
information. This is a download that I'm going to do too. I didn't think of that until just now. So I'm going to do that for myself, and maybe you will, and we'll both build our. Because
Yeah.
I only have like 2 subscribers on YouTube. I just started my YouTube like a couple weeks ago. But I think
Yeah.
it's time. We're ready, and we're confident on the
Yeah.
screen, and we're ready for the attention. We're ready for the spotlight. You know, you're
Yeah.
ready. You're ready.
Yes.
You're ready to be
Yes.
seen.
Send me your YouTube thing so that I
Yeah.
can subscribe to YouTube, and
Yeah.
then I'll get mine started.
I will. Okay. Yeah, I'll send you my info. I'm so excited. This is so great, honestly.
Thank you.
And maybe we'll do
I love
another
it.
interview in like a few months or something. Like when
Okay. I
we've
would love
both
that.
gone through a whole nother evolution and we're
Yes.
like
Yes, I am so down.
yeah.
That is gonna be awesome.
Yay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's always awkward saying goodbye, but because I don't want it to end.
I
But
know. I know. Well, thank you
thank
so
you.
much for just this opportunity, this hangout. Thank you, everyone who has been
Yes,
here
thank
today.
you, everyone.
As there's 22 people on my live, it has been utter balance and beauty and just joy and love. I've had a blast today. Thank you all for being here with us and just sharing yourselves with us and holding space with us. I truly am grateful for all of you, and I love you all.
I love you all too. Ditto, ditto, ditto. Mwah, mwah. Mwah, 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 mwah.
All right.
All right. Bye.
Bye.